Alright, hello and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to go over the player ratings and a mild discussion of the game today of AC Milan versus Benevento, which AC Milan did win 2-0. Benevento, of course, is the recently promoted team to Serie A, which is coached by none other than Milan legend Pippo Inzaghi. They are one of the teams who you do have to watch out for, as they can upset you, as they are a kind of a big game, a big team killer, or a big game team who can kind of show up in those random moments. So it was definitely a tricky one today, but we pulled it off with some fantastic defending, mainly in part that we are getting to see the best from Romagnoli again, and Simon Kjaer is back from injury, and you can immediately see what a difference it's made. Kalulu has done well in his past few matches, but both games we've let up 2 goals, I believe, in the past few matches that we've had Kalulu in, and to be honest, each of those goals actually did come from a Kalulu error, typically with the marking, as he's not primarily a center back. That is not to say that there's any issue with Kalulu. I actually think he's been a brilliant find, especially for the price. It's just he's young, he's raw, and he has a ton of talent, but he needs experience. And so now we can see what Kjaer brings back to the table. So really excited to get him back. Alrighty, so let us start here. So we'll start with, on the back here, Gianluigi Donnarumma with a 7.5 is what I gave him. I thought he was absolutely stellar, bordering on an 8. Actually, it's probably closer to an 8 to be completely honest. He led the line fantastically. He was communicating to his defenders. He was there every single time we needed him. And even there was an early shot in the game that was by Insigne that hit the post, and Donnarumma's hand was right next to it. If that ball was a little bit further in to where it actually would have created a goal, then I do believe Donnarumma actually would have got his fingertips on it and stopped it. So absolutely amazing match from him, and he definitely is proving himself to be, as we have all known, one of the best keepers in Europe, and he's definitely in discussion for the best goalkeeper in Europe. Next up we go with Davide Calabria, who has been none other than perfectly solid every single game this season, and has a couple fantastic games and a couple good games. Never really has a bad game anymore. I would give him a 7, as he was definitely a plus every time defensively and every time offensively that I can remember. No big time mistakes from him either. Simon Kjaer, excellent job back in the team. 7 out of 10 there as well. I think that he just really showed his steel back on the defensive line. Just a classy defender, and besides Ibrahimovic, the other best signing of the Maldini era so far. Alessio Romagnoli, 7.5. We are definitely getting to see the best coming out of him again. It took him a couple games to kind of get back in the swing of things. People were giving him a lot of flack, very undeservedly, after being out for a while with injuries. All of a sudden, boom, took 2-3 games, and he's back. Romagnoli's back, playing fantastically. He goes right up there with Gigi Donnarumma as far as the 2 best players on the field today, in my opinion. It was a defensive show today. Finally, we're letting in 0 goals again, which we were doing quite a bit. It's nice to see. Then we had Diogo Dalot on the left there. I give him about a 6.5. Nothing amazingly special from the guy, but overall he was pretty solid, pretty sturdy. He was in the right places defensively, didn't really have any errors, and he's got some really good technique. He doesn't have blistering pace. He's no Theo Hernandez, but he's really talented with his feet. He's a great passer. He's very good at ball control, and actually pretty decent at dribbling too. So definitely somebody who I think that if the price is right, we should sign, because he can cover both sides, right and left, and he just seems to fit into the team perfectly. So we will see what happens. He seems to enjoy being here as well, but I would definitely pick him up. Next we move to the midfield. Our midfield duo today was Franck Kessié and Sandro Tonali. Franck Kessié, 7 out of 10. He's done absolutely fantastically almost every game. I don't think the guy's capable of having a bad game anymore. Once he's kind of changed his position around after Pioli finally put Kessié where he belongs, in more of a D-mid / center mid position rather than being a true box-to-box. He has done way better there, because he doesn't have that responsibility to get forward all the time. He still does from time to time, but he doesn't have to do that every single time, create. But his ball control has gotten a lot better. His ball winning has improved. Sometimes he is slow to cover his man. If you notice, oftentimes he doesn't have a lot of speed, and sometimes he's a little bit late covering his man. I believe there was a shot earlier where Benevento was at the top of the box, and he just didn't close down his man fast enough, and that happens a lot to Kessié, but overall he played a great game. 7. Sandro Tonali, probably his, I guess you could say it was his worst game, because he didn't really play too much and he got a red card. He wasn't really doing too much up to them, but he didn't really do anything too bad. I mean, it's really hard to say what his actual game could have been. Right now, I would have to give him a 5.5 just because of the foul. To be completely honest, I really don't think it was a red card. You could tell that he was going for the ball. He didn't lash out at the guy's lower leg there, and his studs weren't up. I think it was a really harsh red card. The announcers were kind of freaking out, but 2 seconds later, the guy's up having no problems at all. It wasn't malicious. There wasn't big time intent. So I definitely disagree with the red, but this is the modern day era that we live in. Fouls are given for just touching somebody. Maybe even if you don't touch them and they fall over, fouls are still given. So it's kind of the modern era of soccer, football, whatever you want to call it. I don't agree with it at all, but this is the day and age that we're from. So 5.5 for Tonali, especially just because he left his card, or he left his team stranded there by getting that red card. Then we move forward to the kind of attacking 4 people there. We do run the 4-2-3-1. So on the wide right was Brahim Diaz, 6. Didn't really do anything fantastic, didn't really do anything bad, and he wasn't really in for that long because once Tonali got sent off, he was replaced by Radek Krunic just to give us a little bit more steel in midfield and have a little bit less going forward in attack. Next up was Hakan Çalhanoğlu. He just kept everything going today. He's been almost like a attacking mid metronome for us. 7 as well. Played a fantastic game today. He has definitely been stepping up and has been, really impressing me over the past few months. Over the first year and a half, I really was not a fan of him. Thought he was just completely average. But I've always known that he has a ton of potential, and I'm so glad that he's showing it consistently now. So he's not back to that blistering form that he was in a couple months ago, but he's getting there. Then we have Ante Rebic, who actually won the first penalty. I really don't know what the Benevento defender was doing there. He didn't really need to crash into Rebic. He just needed to just stay there, block the ball. He would have been fine, but he ran into Rebic. Penalty was had. There you go. Kessie converts as usual, and the rest is history. Rebic overall, 7. Played very, very solid, good hard worker every single time. So always a good shift from Rebic. He's one of those players kind of like Kessie. He's never going to have a bad game because he works so dang hard. But today he was actually, his skills were relatively on point as well. A little bit hard to do too much going forward, especially with being reduced to 10 men, but it is what it is. Then we have Rafael Leao. I would also give him a 7. Different places may give him higher, but to be completely honest, besides his awesome goal today, he just played very, very average. He wasn't making the most fantastic runs, and this is kind of my problem with Leao. I think he has amazing talent. For this guy, the sky is the limit. He's quick, he's talented, he's skilled, he can beat his man. He's decently strong too, and he's got good size on him. I mean, he's a very athletic guy. The problem is his mindset. He doesn't have that go-get-him mindset. He doesn't have that driving mindset where he's going to work to the end. If this guy had the work ethic and the mindset of Ante Rebic, he would already be a world-class player. So it's just hard. I mean, I hope he starts to develop more of that because this guy really is the limit for him. But when he's not involved in the game, he's pretty terrible because he doesn't do really anything off the ball. When he has the ball, he's pretty fantastic. So it's always hit or miss for him. But because he gave us that crucial second goal, and overall he played pretty well, 7 for sure. Then we have Radek Krunic, who came in. Honestly, I think he did a pretty decent job today. So I would have given him a higher rating if he didn't give away the penalty on Caprari. I probably would have given him closer to a 6.5 or 7, one of his best games in my opinion, as he didn't really make too many other mistakes besides that. And in my opinion, that was not a penalty. You could see Caprari, he was already falling back before true contact was made. He was searching for it, but once again, given today's age, they don't even care about that. If there's any contact made, it doesn't even matter if it was enough contact to knock somebody down. Any contact is a foul. It's getting really ridiculous now. You could see that in our last game when Kalulu fouled Joaquin Correa against Lazio. It was not a foul at all. And just because Correa went down, boom, penalty given. So it's getting out of hand. I don't really blame Krunic at all for that. And justice was served. Caprari missed the penalty kick. So there you go. Kalulu, Castillejo, I don't really want to give them ratings because it just wasn't enough time. So that's pretty much that as far as the players goes. Coach Pioli, I think he got it right today. I like the switch that he made by bringing on Krunic. I mean, that is our only midfielder left pretty much. so we had to bring him on, and he took off Diaz, which was definitely the right choice. You had to leave the striker up there with Leao. Çalhanoğlu is talented enough to slide back to midfield, so you had to leave him on, and Rebic gives you the work rate, so once again, you have to leave him on. So he made the proper substitutions, he's lining the team up well, he's keeping everybody motivated, and he's got the defensive structure back. Pioli, 7, maybe even a 7.5. So that leaves us to the man of the match here. In my opinion, it was between two people. That would be Gianluigi Donnarumma and Alessio Romagnoli, and I would definitely give it to Donnarumma. He was just a rock at the back. He really showed, how he could lead from the back there, keeping the team calm, confident. He owned his box there. There were so many dangerous corners and crosses in. He didn't even let them have a sniff at it. He just took it, took control of it, and that's what you need from a top-class goalkeeper, is confidence as well. Worst of the match, I guess I would give it to Tonali. We didn't really get to see one. I don't really blame him for that red card, but worst of the match would go to Tonali because he didn't play too much. If we had to pick a second person, I guess I would say Krunic, but really, I don't think he had a bad match. It's really hard to give a worst of the match today, but of course, because of the card, Tonali is the easy choice. So, worst of the match, Sandro Tonali. That's pretty much it. Overall, I thought it was a really good display. Unfortunate red card. Definitely a BS penalty, but we did get some poetic justice with Caprari missing. So that's the kind of sum up today. We got Kyer back. It's awesome because we got him back before the Juventus match, but we are really going to miss Tonali against Juventus because that means we have to play Krunic and Kessié, and that's not the most creative of midfields. So hopefully they just do a lot of destroying and move the ball to Çalhanoğlu, and hopefully he has a stunner of a game. We will not have Ibrahimovic back, so I'm hoping that Leao can do some magic up top when he is awake, and that's pretty much that. Best of luck to Milan coming up in a couple days here. I will definitely be tuning in for that one. Take care, everybody, and as always, Forza Milan.